Hi there, welcome to another pathophysiology video. Today we're going to have a look at Down syndrome. Before we get started, let's find out what you already know. So question 1, which chromosome is commonly affected in Down syndrome? Is it 1, 11, 17 or 21? Take a moment to pause this video and have a think about the answer. And the answer is 21. This results in an extra copy of chromosome 21, which leads to that classical trisomy 21 seen in Down syndrome. Question 2. Which of the following is a common physical feature of Down syndrome? Is it slanted eyes, enlarged ears, excessive height, or heterochromatic eyes? And the answer is slanted eyes. This is a common physical feature of Down syndrome. And finally, increased maternal weight is a risk factor for a baby being born with Down syndrome. Is this true or false? The answer is false. It's actually increased maternal age which is a risk factor for Down syndrome. Don't worry too much about if you didn't know the answers to these questions, because we'll revisit them at the end of the video. So, we're going to have a little look at what Down syndrome is, some of the physical features, pathophysiology and risk factors, complications of Down syndrome, and then we'll revisit those questions at the end. So, what is Down syndrome? It's a genetic condition commonly caused by non-disjunction of chromosome 21. You tend to get the presence of all or part of a third copy of chromosome 21, leading to that classical trisomy 21 that's associated with Down syndrome. This then leads to characteristic physical features, stunted growth and variable learning difficulties. So some of the physical features of Down syndrome include things like short stature, a low muscle tone, flattened nose, low set of ears, which tend to be sort of below the eyes, slanted eyes, a short neck and a single palmar crease. So the pathophysiology of Down syndrome. In 95% of cases, this tends to be due to trisomy 21, where the paired chromosomes fail to separate, which is known as non-disjunction, during cell division. So both chromosomes end up going into one daughter cell, while the other daughter cell doesn't get any chromosomes. And then this leads to errors in the chromosome number. In 2 to 4% of cases of Down syndrome, this can be due to Robertsonian translocation. That's when the long arm of chromosome 21 is attached to another chromosome, and this is typically chromosome 14. And finally, in 1 to 2% of cases, Down syndrome can be due to mosaicism. And this is when some of the cells in the body have the normal number of chromosomes, while others have trisomy 21. And this tends to present with milder effects. So, risk factors of Down syndrome. A key one to remember is increased maternal age, and that's because the older eggs tend to have a greater risk of chromosomal division errors. But others include things like previous child with Down syndrome, or parental karyotype with a translocation. So complications of Down syndrome. These tend to be variable levels of learning difficulties, congenital cardiac defects, typically any atrioventricular septal defects, problems with vision and hearing, some gastrointestinal abnormalities like duodenal atresia, and that's when you get a part of the duodenum which is closed off, and that prevents the passage of food from the stomach. And in males, they tend to be infertile. And that's it. Let's have a look at those questions again. So which chromosome is commonly affected in Down syndrome? Is it 1, 11, 17 or 21? And the answer is 21. remember you get an extra copy of chromosome 21, which leads to that classical trisomy 21 that occurs in 95% of cases. And next question. Which of the following is a common physical feature of Down syndrome? Is it slanted eyes, enlarged ears, excessive height, or heterochromatic eyes? And the answer is slanted eyes. This is a common physical feature of Down syndrome. And lastly, increased maternal weight is a risk factor for a baby being born with Down syndrome. Is this true or false? The answer is false. It's actually increased maternal age which is a risk factor for Down syndrome, and that's because the older eggs tend to have a greater risk of chromosomal division errors. And that concludes this pathophysiology video on Down syndrome. Thanks very much for checking it out, and I hope it was helpful. Take care now.